Hey guys and gals, what's happening? I wanted to come in today and speak to something that I see happening a lot in today's youth. All the way from like 10 years on up through 25. Yes, I still consider 25 years old youth because it wasn't so long ago I was that young. I was still 25. And boy, to be 25 again. Anyway, enough of that. We're not going to get into that. 25 is still pretty young. But the thing that I see plaguing people in that age bracket is the fear of failure. They're afraid to get out and try something because I'll blame it on the school system. We've been had it so pounded into our heads that failure defines who you are. If you don't get a good grade, it's because you're not a good person and you'll never amount to anything in life just because you got a C or a D or even an F. But you know what? It doesn't matter because failure doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define who I am unless we allow that to happen. So, I want to share some slides with you today. I want you to get it into your head that failures are just events and not a declaration of who you are. You don't have to let it define you for life just because you happen to get an F on your report card or because you got fired from a job or any of those things. There's countless people that have been fired from jobs or take Michael Jordan, for instance. He got kicked off of his basketball team in high school because he wasn't any good. And he's like the GOAT of basketball. So many people went from abject failure, or so we think, to massive success because they didn't let that hold them back. They took a little formula that I like to use. Failure, feedback. Failure is only feedback. So you got action and feedback. The failure is the feedback, meaning this didn't work. Action, feedback, adjust, success. Okay. Use that formula. Don't let failure define who you are. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you say? Whether you're 10 or 25, 55 or 95, you would probably give yourself some good advice. For me, I would say, hey, go buy Bitcoin. Like the first time you hear about Bitcoin, put every single penny you own into that. And if you would go back and talk to your younger self, you might tell yourself about some life-changing events that happened to you, some events that would take place, and some of the mistakes that you've made in your life. You tell yourself to avoid those. But the truth is, that would change who you are. But see, those things are just events that happened in your life. They made you who you are, but they don't define you, especially the failures. They do not define you. If you just sit there and mope around and brood over your failures, you're going to suffer a lot of pain and frustration that you really don't need to have in your life. You'll probably find yourself scared to do new things, to try new things because you're afraid of repeating that failure. Right? You don't need to have that fear. See, if you do things, if you try things, you're going to fail a lot. You may have already had a lot of failures in your life, okay? Whether you're 10 or 25 or 35 like me, you're going to have failures. It doesn't matter what your age is. The sad part is that somebody didn't teach you that failures aren't a big deal. Okay? If we could just change one thing about school, I would teach kids that failure isn't a big deal. You don't have to let it define you. So if we can look at our failures like a rainy day, okay? In life, it's going to rain. Rain's going to rain. That's what rain does. Rain's going to rain. The Bible says it rains on the just and the unjust. Rain's going to rain. It's going to do what it's going to do, okay? Now, there's a lot of times that we hate rainy days because we've got a lot of stuff to do. We want to go to football practice. We want to go to work. We want to go hang out with our friends. We want to go play baseball, whatever those things are. We need to get out of our houses and go do things. But it's rainy, so what you going to do? Go play in the rain? Go work in the rain? Go do the things in the rain? Sometimes, but mostly no. If you're caught outside when it starts to rain, that might be a problem for you. Maybe you're dressed up to go to the prom, or you're going to the store, or going to the mall, or going bowling, or whatever that is. You forgot to put an umbrella in your car. You're out running around doing the thing, and all of a sudden, rain comes out of the blue. No pun intended. Running to your car means that you're going to get soaked because it's raining. It's a downpour. And if you don't pay close attention, you could slip and fall because of the rain and hurt yourself. Nobody wants that. We ain't got time to be hurt. There's a lot of reasons to not like rainy weather, okay? But see, rain is going to rain, and nature needs the rain for so many of the things that we depend on. If it stopped raining tomorrow, the plants would die. You know, if it just quit raining forever, the plants would die. Then you wouldn't have any more salads. You wouldn't have any more steaks because, let's face it, cows eat salad food, all right? Rain is required to produce the food we eat. Rain's going to rain. So if we look at our failures like rain, we can see the positive side of those things as well as the negative. Everything has a positive and a negative. There's two sides to every story. Every time that you've failed or screwed up in your life is an event that's helped shape the person that you are. It's helped you become who you are today. Failures can be amazing teachers if we let them. When you embrace failure as a statement of who you are, like, I am an F person because I fail, then you're limiting yourself. You're putting a limit on your potential, and you have unlimited potential, okay? A failure isn't who you are. It's just an event. It's something that happened. The same can be said for success. You probably know about the guy, or you probably have a buddy who brags every time he has a success. You know, every time he does something cool. He believes he's a success, even when that's not the case sometimes. He's just a person who has experienced success. We talked about Michael Jordan. He is considered the best basketball player that's ever lived by a lot of people. Now LeBron's going to come into the picture too, but we're not going to go there. Talking about Michael Jordan. He won 6 NBA championships in 8 years. Unbelievable. Like 6. That's crazy. But he didn't take his failures to heart. And if he had, that wouldn't have happened. See, Michael Jordan missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. 9,000 shots that he missed, failed. He lost 300 games in his life. And on so many occasions, he took what should have been the game-winning shot, and he missed, failed. Failure. He's a failure, right? He was successful because of his failures. He even says that. He would learn from his failures and move on. As soon as he missed a shot, he didn't let it get to him. He didn't let that define who he was. Oh, I'm somebody who can't shoot a basketball. He understood that it wasn't a statement of his ability or inability as a basketball player. It was just a mistake. He learned to do things better in the future, and he moved on. He adjusted his shot angle. You need to do the same thing if you beat yourself up too much when you fail. All right? It's definitely something that needs to be implemented in our schools, in our teaching, how we teach young people that failing is just an event. It doesn't define who you are. It's better to learn that lesson when you're young instead of waiting until you're an adult, because adults going to learn that, or they're going to be given that lesson over and over and over again, whether they learn it or not. And if you can today understand, recognize, realize, learn that failure doesn't define who you are. I don't care what that failure is. I don't care what that failure is. You can learn from it. Yes, you probably have consequences from those failures, and good. You should. Actions have consequences, but you can learn from those actions that produce a result. Learn from the result, adjust your actions the next time around, and experience success. You got this. Do good work.